What's up everybody, Chad here for yet another video inside the truck, and this evening I am going to be going over the 50,000 mile review on my Tacoma. So before I do jump right into it, I do want to remind you all of the giveaway that we are doing with Orange Virus Tuning. That is the giveaway for the tune itself, along with a computer that we are providing for you that you can use for the tuning. So there's really no excuses at all. This is an all-inclusive free giveaway to you all, so long as you can help us reach 10,000 subscribers. And of course, click on the giveaway link below to enter. There are, a few other videos out there where that link is included, but since this will be the most recent one as of Tuesday when this video does go live, you all will be able to click on that, enter, and hopefully subscribe if you haven't done so already. So please do so and help us get to 10,000 subscribers so we can get this tune out to you guys. So, back in 2016 on May 29th was the official first day that I did have the Tacoma in person. Right there in front of me, the steering wheel in my hands, and getting to experience it firsthand. So this particular truck, a little bit of a backstory, was actually a dealer exchange from a dealership up in New York. When I was looking for this Tacoma, specifically this configuration, they were not super common. They were one of the more rare ones to find. A double cab long bed, even to this day, is not the most common one that you are going to be finding anywhere on dealer lots. Most Tacoma owners do have double cab short beds. That's just the most popular configuration that not only Toyota makes, but buyers, want to purchase. So anyways, when I did get that vehicle, by the time it got in my hands, it had a few miles on it, and because it was brought down on a truck, they had done some sort of dealer exchange there and sent one of the Tacomas from Winchester up to the New York dealer. So it was great that they were able to do that for me and get it down here, because otherwise we couldn't find one anywhere near me that I could drive and make the drive worth it. So ever since that time, a little over 3 years later, now being the very beginning of July, and 50,615 miles on the odometer as it stands right now as I'm driving it. It has been a wonderful journey with this truck. Now, that isn't to say that it's been pain-free, because there have been some growing pains with this third-gen Tacoma, and I did take a bit of a risk purchasing the first model for this third generation with a whole new powertrain, or at least new to the Tacoma, not new to Toyota at all, which is the one reason why I was like, this isn't such a bad thing. I think I'll be okay, because they've tested and proved it in Lexus products and in other markets across the world with this transmission. Which that kind of brings up one of the growing pains, is this automatic transmission in this Tacoma. So I am okay with it, because I knew going into it, because I like to look at some of the tech specs, there was quite a bit of spacing in between fourth and fifth and sixth gears. So specifically from fourth to fifth, going into overdrive there, it drops significantly. The RPM goes from whatever it happens to be, depending on how much gas you're giving it, all the way down, and pretty significantly, to the point where it almost feels like the engine is not making any power. And the truth is that it isn't. With these Toyota engines, most of their power is made up top. So peak torque in this truck comes on at 4,600 RPM, and that's quite high. With a red line of 6,000, you're getting up there, and of course max horsepower is going to be at red line at 6,000. So with this truck in its configuration, I did get used to it. It's really not all that bad, but there are times where you wonder, why is the transmission doing that? Why did that happen? I didn't ask for it to do that. And of course, we've gone through that in over other videos, specifically ones where we're talking about the Orange Virus tune, which I do have on this truck, and it does make it drive and just feel a whole lot better. And there are a lot of other benefits to it. Of course, I won't go into too much depth with it, but overall, I have not regretted owning this truck at all. It has been an absolute joy to have, and as you guys have seen in the off-road videos that we've done, that is where we get our true expression brought out, where we're like, yes, this is a fantastic vehicle to have. It just does what you ask it to do. Now, of course, if you get put into some sort of predicament, it's like, well, I wasn't exactly wanting that to happen. That's something that you can't really control all that much. But moving into a little bit of a different segment with this whole review is talking about the issues that I've had with the truck over the years. And really, there aren't too many. One, namely, and this was one of the first things that happened with the truck, was the needle bearing in the front differential. And of course, that's something only on four-wheel drive models. It started to go bad. So that was a really apparent whirring sound that was speed dependent, and as you got up to like highway speeds, you didn't notice it because there was other highway noise going on, wind, engine, and everything else making noise when you are at highway speeds. But especially when you would be at a dead stop and driving around town, that is when you noticed it. Some days were worse than others, and it was also dependent on weather, just because metal does shrink and expand depending on how warm or how cold it is. So after dealing with that for a while and pinning it down to my front differential, because when I put it on the lift, I went in the front and started spinning the tires, and that would spin each individual CV up in the front, and I heard a really discernible sound there in the front differential on the driver's side, and it did not sound well. So I took a video recording of that sound, brought it into my dealer and said, hey, this doesn't really sound too great, take a look at this video. And they said, oh, that's definitely not right. Took a look at it and told me, yeah, that's definitely the needle bearing in your front differential, which was an issue with second gen Tacomas, more so though when you went and lifted the truck. And at this time, my truck was stock, so that made me and the dealer scratch our heads a little bit, but they switched it out and put in the newer, updated one, which in 2016, I guess they had not really updated them, or some of them had the old ones, or some of them had the newer redesigned needle bearing. I'm not entirely sure, but they put in the new one, and it has been fine ever since, even though I've lifted my truck, and it's been that way for over 10,000 miles. The front needle bearing is fine. It's been okay and hasn't had any other issues like it did there in the beginning. And that was between 10 and 15,000 miles on the truck, so still pretty early on. Of course, they did all of that under warranty. I had no issues with that. So that was one of the issues. And another one that did come up, and this is not one that particularly affected my truck, but it was something that was a known issue for the third gen Tacoma. So if you are somebody that is watching that has either purchased a Tacoma or is looking to purchase a Tacoma, this is something that you'll want to know about. And this is more in particular the 2016 to 2017 Tacoma. There is a rear axle seal that will allow for a little bit of differential oil to start to seep out. It's not anything serious, but it could be over time if the driver, the owner, or anybody doesn't notice it, because once you lose enough of that diff fluid, of course you pose the issue of the gears in your differential to bind and have, they're not going to be lubricated. So there could definitely be issues there that would be catastrophic and dangerous to the driver. So Toyota did issue a TSB for that. I got mine checked out just in case. It was fine. There was no seeping or anything going on. I just wanted to bring it into the people that would know and said, hey, can you take a look at it just in case? I want to just be sure. And they said that everything was all good, and I verified myself that there was no issue with that. So that was good. So as you can see, I am in a different position here in the Tacoma in the passenger seat of the vehicle. One thing that I did learn over the 3 years that I have owned this Tacoma is that if you do have the push button start, so the smart access key, if you do press this button once and then hold it down for a short duration, the truck will start without you having your foot on the brake. So you do, of course, have to have the key inside of the vehicle. Now, this is not the way that the truck is meant to be started, but if there is somebody sitting in the passenger seat and they want to, for instance, turn the air conditioning on and they've been sitting in here for a while, the driver hasn't returned, that is something that you can do without putting your foot on the brake. Something interesting that was never really told to me, it was something that I actually found out through Tacoma World, of course. The great people there have been able to teach me quite a lot about this truck, but something cool that I think you all would appreciate knowing. Not that it's super useful, but it is just one of the quirks of this truck. overall, this has been a very, very reliable mid-sized truck, and if I were to do it all again, it would be a very, very similar story. I would get a similar setup, and maybe if I wanted to try it, I would get a manual transmission in this truck. The only thing is I would have to sacrifice the 6-foot bed, which is something that I really didn't want to do back in 2016 and still wouldn't want to do now, because the 6-foot bed is a perfect size for this truck. Sure, it's the longer, more heavy Tacoma that you can purchase nowadays, but that was fine. That wasn't something I really had an issue with to begin with, but the manual transmission does only come on access cab or double cab short bed Tacomas, depending on configuration. But that would be something that I'm interested in trying out, because rowing your own gears with 4-wheel drive in a truck, yeah, just kind of says something. It's a good feeling. So that's one thing that I might have changed going back and looking at how I could have done it differently. But I've been very, very happy with this truck. Like I said, 50,000 miles. It's been pain-free. I've just done all the scheduled maintenance for it, and even a little bit extra, as you guys have seen in the videos. I changed my diffs out early. I changed out the automatic transmission fluid that was in the pan. It was just an exchange, so about 3 quarts or so. Honestly, it's been a really, really good experience. With the Toyota name comes a reliable, dependable vehicle that's going to get you from point A to point B and C and D and everywhere else from there on out, and you're going to have fun while doing it, because it's a Toyota. It's not going to give you too many problems, and that's not to say that you couldn't come up with a lemon. There are always those out there, because anything that's mass produced, there is a high likelihood that there is going to be something along the way in the manufacturing process that is not quite up to par, up to standard. But if you are in the market right now for a mid-sized truck, definitely consider the Tacoma. I'm not going to steer anybody one way or the other, because many drivers and consumers have different needs. The Ford Ranger and the GMC Canyon, or the Chevy Colorado, and even the Nissan Frontier all have their own specialties to them. There's not one truck that is on the market that's like, this is the absolute one that you want, kind of like how Tesla owns, in my opinion, the all-electric vehicle game. But that's a whole other story, and I'm not going to get into that right now. The conversation is trucks. So if you are out there searching for a mid-sized truck, definitely consider the Tacoma. It's been a great truck to me for 50,000 miles and has no indication of giving me any trouble for the next 50,000, and so on from there. So if you all did enjoy this video, please do give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. We do come out with content every single week, and of course with this big giveaway going on with Orange Virus Tune, it's something that we're very excited about and hope that you guys are as well. So thank you all very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, everybody, and I'll catch you next time.